Here's Brody Brazil.
So the NHL is about to go through two major changes starting in the first week of February, right after the All-Star break in Las Vegas. The number one change is the amount of games. The frequency is greatly going to increase. This is because pretty much every team across the league has games to be made up that were postponed in the months of November and December, and a lot of teams have many games to try and fit in about a 2-week span. So the amount of games across the league generally going up for everybody. More games on one hand, and the second change on the other hand is a dramatic decrease in the amount of COVID testing for players. There's some new protocol on this, and I want to go over these changes, and I want to think about them critically. Certainly my intentions, my hope, is that all of this goes well, all of this goes according to plan, and most importantly, everybody stays safe and healthy operating through this. But here is the new protocol from the NHL that released yesterday saying, following a meeting of their respective medical groups last week, the NHL Players Association and the NHL announced today the following updates to their COVID protocol. Number one is the 5-day isolation period. That protocol was issued on the 29th of December. They say it appears to be functioning well in its current form. A significant portion of players appear to be exiting isolation after 5 days with a lab-based PCR test that has a CT value of greater than 30. Now, previously, players were missing at least a week, most times upwards of 2 weeks following a positive COVID test. They do think they've figured this out, that 5 days is their sweet spot, 5 days is their magic number. Again, in the language here, they say that they have been using this, operating on it, and it is responding well. So we'll go with that. But there's also this, and this was the major part here about the testing protocol. The plan is to continue the current testing protocol through February 3rd. Provided positive test results continue to decline within the NHL, and pending review and agreement by January 31st by the NHL and PA's medical experts, the protocol will be updated as followed. Now, this is relating to testing. Number one, there will be no testing of fully vaccinated players and staff during the All-Star break, including for participating players and staff, unless needed for travel or development of symptoms. Second part of this, there will be a single test upon re-entry to club facilities post-All-Star, after which there will no longer be asymptomatic testing or testing of fully vaccinated close contacts. Part number 3 of this. Thereafter, testing will continue only on a limited for-cause basis in fully vaccinated players and staff who develop symptoms or require testing for cross-border travel. And then the fourth and final portion of this, the post-COVID testing holiday. It's such a weird way to put it. Testing holiday will remain at 90 days, but symptom-based testing can still be done at the team physician's discretion. Testing for cross-border travel post-COVID will be dictated by the relevant health authority, which is currently 90 days for entry to the U.S. and 180 days for entry to Canada. Let me just clarify that testing holiday means that if you've previously tested positive, they won't bother you again for that certain period of time. They understand that your immune systems and your immunity levels are high enough so that you're not considered to be a risk. Let's move on here. The enhanced measures, the current enhanced preventative measures will remain in place in the short term. These are distancing things, mask wearing. The NHLPA and NHL will meet on January 31st to make recommendations for relaxation of the enhanced measures, providing rates continue to decline within the NHL. So now that you know, hopefully, precisely what's going on here, I have two issues to bring up with this. And I'm not bringing this up, I promise, to try and be a contrarian here. I'm not trying to be smarter than the league. They've got doctors, experts, and medical professionals on their side helping them make decisions. But there are two things that I think about when it comes to testing decreasing. The amount of games going up, fine. And certainly we hope that we're through the worst of this, and by February, the month will get better from start to finish, and that the league can already kind of hit the gas in advance. They've already had so many players go through testing positive. I mean, a large portion of their league and players have already had to miss games this year. So you'd like to think that they're relatively immune. They're in a good spot. They're positioned well to get through this. But here are my two issues. Number one, what player in this league in their right mind is going to be forthcoming about their potential COVID symptoms. I say that because this is a league where players will literally ignore broken bones. They will ignore head injuries as much as possible to continue playing, to stay in the lineup. It's just the culture that has been created in the National Hockey League. There's no two ways about it. You can't convince me otherwise that any player is legitimately going to say, hey, coach, I've got the sniffles. I better go take a test. I just don't think that's going to happen. And I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's the culture of the NHL. Players just do not want to miss time. They will do anything to stay out there on the ice. That's a long-time reputation. I know I'm not telling you anything new. Some people will say, well, the whole asymptomatic thing and not testing those players in football has worked well. And I certainly hope that this could go well for the NHL. I'm just saying that if doctors are banking on player honesty in terms of timely testing and figuring things out, I don't know if it's going to really work out that well. And the other question I have related to that, this is an issue, I guess, but it's more so a question. Say you have somebody that's asymptomatic, but that is carrying the virus. Does that mean that if person A passes it to person B, but A was asymptomatic, person B might be symptomatic, and now you're dealing with more problems and you're spreading this far worse than you actually need to? And I'm not even just talking about teammate to teammate. How about player to family member to staff member to somebody they pass at the grocery store to their taxi driver? Again, maybe I'm overthinking everything here, but at the same respect, there are two issues with the amount of games going up and the amount of testing going way down. You really have to trust the system that's going into place here, but if we're going to trust it and it relies on honesty, how much honesty are we actually going to get? Now, again, I want to make these points. I'll say them here now. I hope that by April, I can look back on this video and laugh at it because they got through things and everything went well. But it definitely is a question for me here and now.